Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News and Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Amina Jibril. Now, a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Icecomsat. The federal government has officially announced Wednesday, 25th and Thursday, 26th December 2024, as well as Wednesday, 1st of January 2025 as public holidays to celebrate Christmas, Boxing Day and New Year, respectively. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, confirmed this in a statement in Abuja by the ministry's permanent secretary, Magdalene Ajani. The minister also extended warm greetings to all Nigerians and urged them to reflect on the values of love, peace and unity that the season signifies as they celebrate with their loved ones. He stressed that the essence of the Yuletide season is to foster harmony and strengthen bonds across families and communities. Meanwhile, many Christians living in northern parts of the country have expressed fear of terror attacks in states plagued by violence and terrorism. The situation had dampened the festive spirit of some northerners, forcing many families to reconsider their plans for the season. Multiple bomb explosions had killed 3 persons, including a child in Bassa community of Shiroro local government area of Niger State last Thursday. The explosions were believed to be landmines as they went off while children played on their way to the farm. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has directed the defense headquarters to ensure total elimination of banditry activities in the northwest zone by the end of 2025. The Minister of State Defense, Bello Matawalle, stated this while addressing supporters of All Progressives Congress, APC, in his residence in Gusau, Zamfara State capital, noting that President Tinubu is very concerned with what is going on in the northwest zone, particularly Zamfara State. Matawalle stated that President Tinubu gave orders for effecting procurement of military equipment such as armored personnel carriers, warplanes and other sophisticated weapons in the zone for successful fight against the terrorists. He further told the party supporters that some of the war vehicles and planes have started arriving in the country, with an appeal to the people of Zamfara to extend their support and prayer to President Tinubu's administration for the success of the reform agenda. Also, the federal government has earmarked a total of 960 billion naira for the maintenance of the country's defense aircraft and the purchase of security equipment across various sectors in the 2025 fiscal year. The agencies procuring this equipment include the Office of the National Security Advisor, NSA, the Department of State Services, DSS, Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Police Force, and the Nigerian Immigration Service, among others. Although not explicitly stated in the proposed 2025 budget, the allocation of this amount could be linked to the government's commitment to bolstering national security amidst persistent challenges such as insurgency, banditry, and cyber threats. And as Nigerians prepare to celebrate Christmas, the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and workers across the country have appealed to state governors to clear minimum wage arrears, salary differentials, and pay 13th month salary. The union leaders made the appeal in light of the severe economic hardship and soaring cost of foodstuffs, which has placed an unbearable strain on the masses. They noted that settling these financial obligations would go a long way in easing the burden on employees during the festive season. The country has been grappling with a relentless rise in prices of goods and services before the federal government signed the National Minimum Wage Act of 70,000 naira into law in July. In the meantime, following death recorded during palliative distribution in Abuja, Ibadan and Anambra last week, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Nentawe Yelwata, has listed rules and regulations event organizers must adhere to before engaging in the distribution of palliative in the country. Yelwatida said it is important that organizers register such events, involve security operatives like the police, and carry out a risks assessment and vulnerability checks, among others, to avoid future stampedes and death. He expressed sympathy with the families of the victims, but stressed, however, that the presence of security operatives at distribution points will go a long way to help maintain peace and order once vulnerability checks and risks assessments are observed. A former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has condemned the ban imposed by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, on distributing palliatives to the poor following recent stampedes across the country. In the wake of the tragic incident where 67 people, including 35 children, died in stampedes during funfair and food distribution events in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, Okija in Anambra State, and the federal capital, Abuja, the IGP, through a statement by the police spokesperson, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, warned event organizers to involve security agencies or face legal consequences. Obi, in a statement, an ex said the restriction would discourage philanthropists from helping vulnerable citizens, describing it as unnecessary bureaucracy for the IGP to require approval before assisting the needy. He called the development disturbing, noting that while the directive is a timely response, it is prone to abuse. And the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, has advised Nigerians to beware of individuals or entities demanding money from them for the National Identification Number (NIN) registration. This comes as many Nigerians have decried extortion at various NIMC centers nationwide for their NIN registration. Amid these reports, the NIMC, in a statement signed by the head of corporate communications, Dr. Kayode Adegoke, insists that the NIN registration comes at no cost. Adegoke noted that the amounts charged for NIN enrollment at NIMC centers are unauthorized. At least 500 women in Katsina State have graduated from the Skills Acquisition Center of the Department of Girl Child Education and Child Development. The graduates, mostly young people, received training across various vocational fields, comprising 141 in tailoring, 114 in leatherwork, 53 in catering, 27 in computer skills, 90 in cosmetology, and 76 in knitting. The Katsina State Governor, Dikko Rada, who presided over the graduation ceremony, emphasized that the program's success reflects his administration's dedication to citizen welfare and economic development. He commended the Department of Girl Child Education and Child Development for its commitment to excellence in implementing the program, stating that the Skills Acquisition Center represents the beginning of his administration's initiatives to creating opportunities for education, empowerment, and progress. Also in the news, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, has visited Ilorin, Kwara State over the death of a 35-year-old Jimoh Abdul Qadir, who reportedly was killed by the police. According to an investigation, Jimoh of Balogun Fulani community in Erubu was reportedly tortured to death by some policemen in questionable circumstances. Addressing Balogun Fulani, the traditional ruler of the community, Egbetokun pleaded with the entire community, especially the youth, not to take the laws into their own hands. He stated that he had directed a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of the youngster, assuring that the matter will not be swept under the carpet. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, to slash extravagant budget allocations for the Presidency and the National Assembly. SERAP insists these figures reflect unnecessary spending that could be redirected to address Nigeria's growing budget deficit and improve public services. The budget presented by President Bola Tinubu in the Senate passed the 49.7 trillion naira restoration budget for a second reading on Thursday after various deliberations. The agency's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, expressed the organization's concerns, stating that any proposed unnecessary spending by the presidency and the National Assembly would amount to a fundamental breach of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. And elsewhere in the news, troops of Joint Task Force Southeast Operation Udoka have neutralized 13 armed members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and nabbed 3 kidnappers in Southeast. The spokesman of the task force, Lieutenant Colonel Jonah Onuakalu, made this known in a statement in Enugu. He said that the feat was in furtherance of the troops' clearance operations to make the Southeast safe and peaceful throughout the Yuletide. Onuakalu said that the force commander, Major General Hassan Dada, had called on all well-meaning citizens to continue to support the Joint Task Force. You're watching Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. When the news returns, Standard Organization of Nigeria partners manufacturers to boost leather and textile production. Details of that report and more coming right after this break. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned and welcome back to Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we move on to the business scene, where the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has urged Nigerians to avoid panic buying as there is enough fuel in the country. IPMAN Publicity Secretary Ukadike Chinedu said this in Abuja while commending the Dangote Petroleum Refinery for reducing the price of its premium maltose spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, to 899 naira 50 kobo per litre. He said that the gesture would help reduce transport costs for Nigerians ahead of the Yuletide holidays. Chinedu, however, urged all IPMAN members to adjust their pump to the new pump price to attract more customers. And the National Civil Society Coalition, NCSCN, the body of CSOs in Nigeria, has noted that it is planned to visit the Port Harcourt refinery by January 2025 for independent assessment. According to a statement by the head of the NCSCN, Blessing Akinsolutu, the body said a 50-man committee has been set up for the assessment visit, stressing that the visit became paramount following reports from certain quarters doubting the integrity of the refinery. Recall that on November 26, 2024, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Mele Kyari, inaugurated the 60,000 barrels per day production capacity plant. And the Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, has said it is collaborating with manufacturers, suppliers and regulatory bodies to ensure Nigerian leather and textile products meet international standards to enable them to leverage the global market valued at over $1 trillion. Director General of the organization, Ifeanyi Okeke, disclosed this in Aba, Abia State, at a stakeholder sensitization and capacity building workshop organized to enlighten artisans and other manufacturers on the need to standardize their product. He urged stakeholders to adhere to standards in the leather and textile sector while emphasizing their huge potentials. And now to the foreign scene. Local authorities have reported that at least 7 people died when a light aircraft crashed in a heavily forested area of Jalisco in western Mexico on Sunday. The aircraft, Cessna 207, was flying from La Parrota in the neighboring state in Michoacan. Jalisco's civil protection said via social media that the crash site was in an area that was difficult to access. Initial authorities on the scene reported a preliminary count of 7 dead people. And Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico has made a surprise visit to Moscow for talks with Vladimir Putin, becoming only the third Western leader to meet the Russian leader since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. Fico, a vocal critic of the European Union's support for Kyiv in the war, said they discussed supplies of Russian gas to Slovakia, which his country relies on. A deal with Russian gas giant Gazprom to transit energy through Ukraine to Slovakia is due to expire at the end of this year. And the Afghan Foreign Ministry has welcomed Saudi Arabia's decision to resume its diplomatic operations in Kabul more than 3 years after Riyadh withdrew its staff during the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. Afghan Foreign Ministry spokesman Zaya Ahmed, in a statement, said they are optimistic about the possibility of strengthening relations and cooperation between Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan through the resumption of these activities. Riyadh had posted its decision to resume diplomatic operations in Kabul on social media platform X. And now moving on to the world of sports. National Sports Commission, NSC, has resolved to put in place aggressive grassroots talent hunt and nurture talents that will win laurels for the country at the Los Angeles 2028 Olympics without being poached by the opportunistic Western world. NCS Chairman Shehu Diko made the disclosure while hosting a 14-year-old serial-winning gymnast, Stephanie Ogechukwu Onisiriuka, and her mother in his office, noting that the era of losing Nigeria's best sporting talents to other countries is over, as the Commission has moved to tie the young gymnast down. Onisiriuka has been labelled Nigeria's Simone Biles, drawing marked global acclaim. She trains at the Leeds Gymnastic and is a member of the UK Gymnastic Club. In boxing, Tyson Fury insisted Alexander Usyk got an early Christmas gift from the judges after the Ukrainian won their heavyweight championship rematch. The Gypsy King, who was non-committal about his future, insisted he had won the fight that was scored 116-112 by all three officials in a unanimous decision. The 36-year-old Fury, unbeaten until the first met Usyk in their four-belt unification fight in May, departs Riyadh's Kingdom Arena with 2 defeats on his record. Promoter Frank Warren also claimed victory for Fury, calling the decision not, adding that the boxer, who needed victory to trigger a trilogy fight, would need time to decide whether he will retire or return to the ring. And now in tennis, the International Tennis Integrity Agency, ITIA, has announced that a 2-time Grand Slam doubles champion, Max Purcell, has been voluntarily suspended for breaking anti-doping rules. The Australian, who is ranked 12th in the world for doubles, admitted to a breach of the regulations relating to the use of a prohibited method and had requested to enter into a provisional suspension on December 10th. The ITIA said time served under provisional suspension will be credited against any future sanction, with the ban coming into effect on December 12th. And that's all we have for you in Global Television's Midday News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276, and free-to-air on Nightcomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @GlobalTVNG. I am Amina Jibril. Thank you for watching and have a good afternoon.